Let's see. Do we know if this is going? All right, looks like we're live. It looks like we are live. What is up, Watch fam? I am Christian from Theo and Harris, and today is Thursday, so we are doing our Ask TNH Live. I'm trying to figure out how to see your comments here, guys. Okay, and I'm just not exactly sure how to do it, just like every episode where we start this thing. How the hell does it work? I have no idea. Fuck. This always happens. This happens every time. Live control room, is that what it is? I'm getting there, guys. I promise I'm getting there. If you guys are watching, please just hang with me. This just never gets easier. This just never gets easier. Okay. Alright, it looks like we're ready to rock and roll. Now we begin. What is up, Watch fam? I am Christian from Theo and Harris, and I am doing a live Ask TNH. So let's get into it. What are your questions? Engrain tells me to get my shit together. It's the pot calling the kettle black. When's the NJ meetup? There is no NJ meetup on the schedule, but we should totally do one. If you guys have any plans or if you guys have any intention to come to an NJ meetup, let me know. I would be very happy to go to any meetup or to meet up with anybody privately in New Jersey / New York. It's totally my pleasure. I love watches. I love people who love watches. And the worst case scenario, we don't like each other. Like, so what? That's not even that bad, So let's get into it. Hi, Christian. I have a ceramic sub, and a 39mm chronomat from 1998. Should I get a Speedy or save up for another Rolex? Okay, good question. First of all, nice chronomat. I dig that watch. Very, very cool. And you have a sub C. Cool. It depends. Which Rolex would you be considering saving up for? That matters. I would care about that. There are some Rolexes I think that would be advantageous for you, but a sub C and a chronomat, maybe an Oyster Perpetual would serve you really well. I think that vintage would obviously serve you really well. That'd be a lot of fun because I think that no, I don't think you should do the Speedy Pro. I think that the put it this way: if the sub C and the chronomat banged, you'd have a Speedy Pro probably, or something a lot like that. So I think that would just be very kind of redundant. Whereas something like an Oyster Perpetual would be not. It would be a different kind of direction. Of course, if you want to keep your your watches very close together and very related, then yeah, go for the Speedy Pro. But in my opinion, I would add some variation to it. Let's see. The answer is always Datejust. Yes, you're right. The answer is always Datejust. Yeah, you should also consider Datejust, just because they're awesome. Speaking of which, let's do a wristwatch check. I am wearing a beautiful Rolex vintage one from, I don't remember the year, but it's a 1603. Check this out. It's got a gray dial. This is an extremely rare dial. I actually had one a couple of weeks ago, and that was matte. But this is actually a glossy dial. It's all original, fully serviced, beautiful engine turned bezel, probably never polished. This is a crazy nice piece. I just got it in the other day or yesterday. I had to do a check-in, and then we were cool. So I think it's a beautiful, beautiful piece. This is a very rare watch. It's going to demand a premium. This will be listed next week on the watch shop at theoandharris.com. So I'm stoked about that. It's gonna be exciting. This is gonna sell pretty quickly, I think. It's technically for sale now. If any of you guys want it, I could technically sell it, before the shop on Thursday. Worth spending $1,000 for proper correct insert on my Maxi. That's very subjective. I don't know. I wouldn't do it, but I probably also wouldn't have your watch. I love it, but it's just not my style. So it's all about priorities. I think that if you know yourself well, you win, and if you don't, then you lose. That's very, very simple. It's like a very layman's term way. Watches are expensive. So if you waste money on satisfying what other people think you need, you're screwed. At least that's my opinion. Style question: if a guy wears a polo shirts with a collar up, a pinky ring, and loves aqua dialed squally divers, doesn't his style suck? No, TGV has got he loves clothes. I don't really wear polos, but I know that he's got some really cool sport coats. Some cool mock necks or turtlenecks. Got some cool shit, So, why do most of your Rolex and Tudors not come with their original bracelets? It's just not something that I'm that interested in, and since I source all of the watches, I just don't. I don't make it a requirement. Some people do think that. Can we still send you your phone numbers to ask questions? Yes. You know what? I don't know. No, not today. Not. I have to set it up. I have to set it up again. I bought the speaker, but we're gonna do that in the future. But I need to get my shit in order. So not today, but yes. It's a trap. What are your thoughts on the Breitling Transocean day and date for a Day-Date piece? This Rolex Day-Date is just so expensive. I don't know. I don't know the Breitling Transocean day and date. I just don't know. But that's funny. Like, it always confuses me. There are this school of people, right, that think that like to collect watches on function, and that's always so funny to me. Like, I don't know how you can compare the Breitling Transocean to a Rolex Day-Date. Like, the only thing they have in common is their day and date function, and that's so weird that like you care about that. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I just disagree, which is funny. Like, to me, a comparable to the Day-Date, would be another 35 to 38 millimeter, precious metal watch. That's comparable, Day-Date or not Day-Date, like in function. So it's funny that you would compare those things. It's just all a matter of how people think, and obviously we just don't think the same, which is which is funny. But it's cool. It's cool by me. What do you think of Doxa? I don't know. There are some cool Doxas, the Aqualung, and they have some good heritage with Jacques Cousteau, right? But it's not my thing. I don't know if I would wear one. I would sell one, maybe. I know that the Doxa market has really been manipulated very heavily, and that kind of turns me off as an insider. I know that certain people have great stake in the Doxa industry, the Doxa market, and they've inflated them and all that stuff. Now you could say the same thing. You could say that I've done the same thing with Datejusts, but I haven't inflated Datejusts. There's no inflation. It's just the same retail prices as there's always been, if not less in so many circumstances. And I just love to sell them. So it's very different. It's a very, very different thing. Doxa is like the Speedmaster, one watch company. No, Oren, you're wrong. Omega has plenty of awesome watches. No, Doxa is literally a one watch company. No one knows anything else they make. Whereas Omega, has other watches. They might not, the Speedmaster carries the brand, but you can't compare the brands, in my opinion. What is your favorite all gold watch besides the President? Everyone on YouTube, you guys, most of you know that I have a passion for the Rolex Day-Date. I love the all gold, just bling of it. I love like the Tony Soprano, kind of just power behind it. It's funny, like, what do Tony Soprano and like Lyndon B. Johnson have in common? Like two things, right? Like fucking power and a Rolex Day-Date. And that to me is a really cool, line there. It's a really cool, string. So I think that's really, really interesting. What's a comparable watch? I don't know. You know what I love? I used to consider or like the yellow gold Submariners, and they're still really cool. Like 1688s. A lot of them are really cool. Let's be honest. But I'm really into the Seamasters in gold now. The Omega Seamasters, they're beautiful. I saw one on Instagram today, and I thought it was crazy. Did you see Hodinkie's new shop arrivals today? What are your thoughts on the yellow gold Rolex Thunderbird? I own a Thunderbird, not my personal watch, but I have one in the inventory being serviced. I think it's a great watch. There are a lot of phony balonies out there with fake bezels. I don't think that they should demand a massive premium over, Datejusts, and in many cases they don't. I'd love to see what their pricing was on it. I don't really know where it fell, but yeah, I'd have to see. I'd have to see. I do like the Thunderbird though. I mean, it's got, put it this way. I don't love the way it looks, but I like that it's different. Like the fact that it's different, but I don't love the aesthetic of it. Hi guys, this is Anna. Anna's gonna say hi because I was already looking.
I don't know if you can see me here, but hi,
yes,
fam.
Again, hi fam.
How we doing?
And I was taking the photos for the new listings for next week, and I'll show them to you. Why not? So this is an amazing Breitling Navitimer, 7806 is the reference. Beautiful, beautiful watch. Mint dial, black with appropriate white instrumentation and white subdials. It's a reverse panda. It's all original, of course. It's freshly serviced. The action on it is really soft and buttery. But really what's super cool about it, is, and I will show you the case bag, it was owned by the King of Jordan, which is crazy. That's the case back. So I think that's really freaking nice. How big is this? This watch is at least 40, if not maybe even like 41 or 42 millimeters. I'd have to measure it. I don't remember, but I think it's like 42. This is crazy. So this is an amazing piece. It's probably one of the most historically important. Actually, it's probably the most historically important wristwatch that I've ever owned. And on Theo and Harris, on Theo and Harris, and then period. This is just one. It's an important watch. Being a Breitling Navitimer. If it had no relevance, historically to the King of Jordan, but then to add that extra kind of bit of awesome is crazy. How does a kid from Jersey end up wearing, holding, owning, and selling a watch that was made for the King of Jordan? That's bizarre. So that's crazy. This watch is being listed tomorrow. When will it be available to buy was the question. This watch will be available next Thursday, but we'd be happy to sell it, before next Thursday. We'd be happy to sell it in 20 minutes. Well, as soon as I get off this live feed. There's no hold up. But how did I come into that watch? Very, very lucky. I came into this watch in a very, very lucky way. And that's, I can't get into too much detail, but I was very, very lucky. So anyway, this is a watch that's being sold tomorrow on theoandharris.com. It's a Rolex Air-King, reference 5500. Take a look, with a tropical gilt dial. It's not to make the difference. It's not damaged dial. It's tropical. So It's tropical is a term that's appropriately used for a watch or a dial that has been exposed to light wear, and consistent exposure to the sun. I think that's a quote by Philip Stahl, the owner of Rolex Passion Report. And it's an incredibly cool watch. The Air-King was introduced in the middle of World War II or right after World War II, and I mean that's super. What was that? Oh, it's Aaron. Oh my god. And that's interesting because it's a model that came out basically the same time as like the Jubilee bracelet. So it's a very interesting time for Rolex. They were introducing new models. I think introducing a new bracelet is one of the coolest things you could ever do. I just think that's amazing. That put it this way: when's the last time you saw a brand famously introduce a bracelet that went on to be one of the most famous pieces of anything watch related ever? That's just amazing. Sure, we have the Royal Oak, but the Royal Oak was a watch, and the Nautilus, but these were watches that came out together, and the bracelet was part of the watch. Whereas this Jubilee bracelet has been on, whether it's a GMT or a Date or a Datejust. The bracelet's equally as famous as any of the watches, and that's I think that's really, really cool. Maybe hold it up to the camera this time. LOL. What, the Navitimer or the? This is the Navitimer. Beautiful. And then this is the Air-King for you guys. Boom, boom, boom. Wow. Look at that. Crazy. Someone just asked, thank you, the Swiss wrist. Frank's out when you want to watch to look new because you're happy. Yeah. Someone asked, why polish a watch? And there is good reason to polish watches sometimes. Sip of wine. There is good reason to polish watch sometimes. Sometimes there is damage that's done that is just too much to look beyond. It's not a nick, it's a dent, or it's not a nick. It's a real scratch, like a gash. And in that circumstance, I can see why someone would want to polish that out, or even sometimes get a new case for the watch, because you don't really want to look at a watch that you spent $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10, $11, $12,000 for and see a massive imperfection. That sucks, So people do that. Now the problem is, and the reason that some people don't do that, is because it devalues the watch, to one level or another. Depends on how many times you do it, how hard the polishing was, especially on Rolex, or really on everything. Rolex, really everything. It loses its original finish and definition, and that's the problem. Like if you look at this Datejust, for example, I'll show it to you, and it's going to be hard to see, but on this Datejust, and I'll show Instagram. It's hard to see, and then I'll show you guys. The lug, the kind of the leg of the watch is sharp. I mean, it's got a sharp edge. Now, if you polish this watch too many times, it becomes soft. It's this kind of weak edge. that is no longer, as original as it was. In the Rolex world, you're better off with something that's been nicked and scratched a little bit, but unpolished, which is funny. You're almost better off with a watch that has been, beaten up rather than taken care of. So that's kind of funny. It's a funny kind of situation that's very unique to watches. But it's a reality, and I think that it's an interesting topic to talk about, originality in vintage watches. So. Two questions. One, is there a good guideline to the various Datejust references and styles? Two, opinion on Oyster Quartz for the rare automatics in Oyster Quartz cases. Yeah, I'll answer both. I don't know a good online reference for Datejust. Actually, I know one. Miguel sent me one, and it was pretty good. But there are so many more. I mean, to put it, I'm not going to go into all of them. But if you're talking about the 16.0 kind of series, 1601 is fluted, 1603 is engine turned, 1600 is smooth. If you go beyond that, you enter into the quick set date categories, which is very cool. And then beyond that, I have no idea. I don't deal in things that are beyond the next generation, really. I can source one, but I don't really deal in them. So, and then the first generation Datejust, I forget the reference. I don't remember the reference. I don't deal in them because they're too expensive. So, hey, what are your favorite bracelets not on a watch? Do you mean like jewelry bracelets? I don't know. I wear this bracelet, my grandma's, so I'll never take that off. But that's that's it. Devin, is it a bad thing to own two rather similar versions of the same watch? Case in point, right? You have a white gold Cartier and you're looking at the yellow gold one too. If you want it, just buy it. Of course, if you have the money and all that stuff. But if you want it, buy it. So that's it. Who am I to tell you that it's stupid? Would I buy the same watch in two different metals? Possibly. Yeah. I could say. Yeah, sure. Yeah, no doubt. What about Datejusts? What about Datejusts? I have a yellow gold Datejust that my mother gave to my father, and I have a steel Datejust, and even many Cartiers that I love. I love the Santos Dumont. Yeah, no doubt. Your three Grail watches, tough to say. I love the Patek Philippe 3940 perpetual calendar. It was worn by not Terry Stern, but his dad, whatever his dad's name was. Henri? No, I could be wrong. So that's great. It was worn by him because he had taste. Why I love it is not that it was worn by him; it just makes it a little bit cooler. Why I love it is it's just the most sleek, smooth-edged watch with like an incredible complication. It's super well finished. It's a micro rotor. Micro rotor. That all in all, it's one of the most tasteful watches by Patek I think I've ever seen. So, hey Christian, can you recommend a good vintage dealer in New York City? Me. That's it. That's the only good vintage dealer in New York City. I just ordered a CPO Linda Verlin with scratches. Linda Verlin is sending it back to manufacturer for case refinishing, charge me a cost. I trust they won't massacre it. Yeah, you hope that they won't. I hope they won't massacre it. No way to know. If I was them, I'd just sell you a new case. Keep my inherited Quartz Omega or sell it and get a Mustic Cartier. I would never sell an inherited watch unless you just didn't like the person, but I would never sell an inherited watch. So what was the other question you guys asked me on YouTube here? Oh yes, the Oyster Quartz, automatic Oyster Quartz, right? Yes, for those of you who don't know, Oyster Quartz were a series of watches made by Rolex. Some were dates, some were Datejusts. They came in these very cool, sharp-edged, almost Genta-like cases. They came with quartz movements, and they were different. They were different than the typical watches. They were one of the first quartz, kind of quartz famous watches in the luxury market. There was that. There was the Patek Beta 21 and things like that. But this is a very, very famous, quartz luxury watch, and I think they're great. I would wear one. I would own one. Would the quartz taking hand bother me? Maybe a little bit, but I would eventually get over it. But the other reference, I think it's 15300 or something like that. I don't remember the exact reference. That one, was an automatic movement, and it came in an Oyster Quartz case, and that is a rare watch. I've seen them sell at pretty good premiums. They're not that desirable, as in they're not worth $10,000-$12,000, but I think that they're very interesting watches. I would definitely buy one. Yeah. Oh, sorry, 1530. There you go. I said what? 15300? 1530. I was pretty close. I was thinking about Beta 21. I probably couldn't wear it into middle school though. No, you couldn't. No. Good for you though if you're considering good for you if you're considering to get a Patek in middle school, you little shit. That's funny. The Linda Verlin is an edition of 88, no new case available. Okay, yeah, that's okay. I mean, they can make you one, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. That would be very expensive. I mean, it's not like they get rid of the molds. I don't know. I don't know how case making works. I have no idea. They could also weld it. Cases aren't just to go down. You don't have to just go down on a case and make it smoother. I mean, people weld cases all the time, or whatever it's called, laser welding. I think it happens. It happens. What else is going on? Sorry, I'm just busting your chops, dude. You're not a dick. I mean, I'm just kidding. Do I think that you should buy a Patek in middle school? No, not at all. I think your parents should tell you to not do that. Because what fun is there left? There's a lot to be said about not owning the best stuff at the beginning. You know what I mean? But no, I don't think you're a dick for being rich. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. What's your favorite vintage watches under $2,000? I think vintage Tudor represents an amazing value. Tudor Omega, Longines, Jard-Perregaux. Those are some of my favorites. So, best vintage dealer I know of. Yup, what's up, buddy? My pleasure. My pleasure selling you that Datejust. Beautiful, beautiful watch. Beautiful watch. Out of curiosity, do you solely wear J. Crew? No. I solely wear Levi's jeans. I only wear Levi's 5711. Oh my god, 511s. That's so funny. 5711. What a dick. I wear Levi's 511s. I wear loafers a lot. I wear Oxfords by J. Crew. Sometimes Brooks Brothers, and Uniqlo. Those are the three. Watches. Currently working on a Bell & Ross boutique, and I'm watching videos. Never ends here from me. It's too funny. That's just how it is, man. That's how it is. Go Braves. No, I don't wear raw denim. I'm sorry. It's just not my thing. Is the Sea Dweller 4000 a potential investment watch? I don't know. I really don't know. I can't tell you. I could ask some people if you email me. I could do that, but I don't know. Which vintage Submariner model is best in your opinion? Oh, come on, what a loaded question. Best within affordability, or is it best in, wherever. It totally depends. It totally depends. I mean, 6538s are amazing. 1680s are amazing. 16880, whatever it is, transitional model is amazing as well. I mean, with the matte dial especially, no question. Do you match your watch strap with your shoe color? No, I do not. The only thing that I try to not clash is my shirt and my socks. As long as they can complement, they can. I just try not to make them both different shades of blue. That's obnoxious, But even then, I don't really care. I've walked out of it, like that so many times. Talk about your grandmother's bracelet. Sure. This is my grandmother's bracelet. It's a Tiffany bracelet. It's in sterling silver. My grandmother wore it for a long, long time. I remember her with it on, and then when she passed away back in 2009, my mom, she had a lot of jewelry, and then my mom was at the kitchen table, kind of looking at all of it and sorting it and whatever, and then and just kind of said, hey, I'd love for you to wear this. Would you want this? And if so, I'd love for you to have it. So I put it on. I never took it off. And that's it. My grandma. 2003 Sea Dweller for $5,300. Good deal. I don't know if that's a good deal, but I'll tell you that at $5,300, whether that's expensive or not, it shows value, I think. That says that I don't know anything about the market, but at $5,300, I think that a Sea Dweller is more watch than a Submariner in many respects. And that's cool, that's cool. Rolex Diver plus office wear is better than a divorce lawyer. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. It just went right over my head. What watches do you suggest for me to buy even though I'm in middle school? Price isn't an option, but I want to be luxurious watch, price really vintage. I would buy it from you guys. Yeah, I mean, no, I would hook you up with anything. I mean, damn, Max, you're loaded. Max Levinson is loaded. Woo! No, it really depends on what you love. I mean, I think that, they're not vintage, but I think that, older, early Breguet models are phenomenal. I think that they're just beautiful watches for very small, classic, vintage, dress watches. I think that that's amazing. What else? What else? There are some terrific vintage Pateks. I don't know. I love the Patek reference 3710. I believe that's the reference. It's the Roman numeral Patek Nautilus without the power reserve. I think that's an amazing, amazing watch. What else? What else? There are some great vintage APs and Vacherons, time onlys. They get very finicky and they're dangerous to wear many times, but okay. Last try. Do you think a 37mm silver dial Royal Oak 1540 and a 39mm Royal Oak 15202 are different enough to be in the same collection? Wrist size of 6.25 but can't look to an offshore. Wow, 6.25 and you're considering going with 15202. Good for you. My wrist is bigger than yours, and I think that it would be too big on my wrist. But it's all cool if you like it. And no. Well, quite frankly, I don't really care if they're too big. They're very different watches. They're very, very different watches, but they are also the same. In 1,000 different ways. It's the same fucking thing, really. Why I think that you should buy it, very simply, is if you want it, and it sounds like to me you're trying to comply to social norms and what people think your collection should look like. In which case, fuck what I think and fuck what anyone else thinks. Buy what you want. That's it. Why do you care? Don't care. Look in yourself and say, if you want to spend the extra, if you want to spend another $22,000 on a watch that's pretty similar, then do it. Just do it. What about ancient Moser? Great style, but is there any life left in them? You're right. Ancient vintage Moser watches. There are some out there that are just fucking unbelievable. I love it. I love it. But yeah, there's life. Yeah, you just have to give a really, really good service and. Really, really good. Dig in there, clean it up, perfect, and you'll be fine. Can you tell the difference between stainless steel and white gold from distance on someone else's wrist? No, of course not. Not at all. I can tell by the watch. I know if it's a Daytona with Arabic numerals that it's white gold. I know that. I know that if it's a blue dial Submariner, it's white gold. But if you look at a Datejust 1601, it's with the white gold bezel, you can tell the difference in metal color from the white gold to the steel. There's no question. It has a yellowish feel. It's a yellowish coloration. Is pairing a suit with a Sea Dweller a valid style choice? It depends on how good your suit is. I have no idea. If you have a great suit and your wrist is big enough, then yes. But if your suit is I think you look like an idiot. That's just my opinion. I think you'll look like you just threw a bunch of shit together and then an expensive watch. I'm very big on, if you're gonna wear a suit, wear it right. Otherwise, don't wear a fucking suit. Just don't do it. Thoughts on Maurice Grossman? They're very expensive, but they're very nice watches. I would never buy one. I would go for, a FP Journe, just because. But they are very nice watches. Okay, let's go into this week's, incoming pieces. Let's start off with the Seamaster. I have a really beautiful yellow gold plated Omega Seamaster here, showing Instagram and then showing YouTube. Very pretty watch. This is the kind of watch that I kind of, value a ton. It's not big. It's not super small either. It wears really well. This is the kind of watch that I think is very kind of J. Crew, and in a way it's very J. Crew, Suit Supply, Alan Edmonds kind of style. And for me, that obviously fits. This is an interesting chronograph. I don't remember what it's signed. Oh, it's signed Klarna, which God knows what that means. But it's beautiful. It's got black subdials. It's 3 register. It's got this funky case. chrome plated, but basically in mint condition. It's got a little bit of a mirror effect going on, but it also has a lot in common with almost like a vintage Hoyer. In certain ways, I'm a big fan of it. This is a really beautiful Gruen Precision that to me competes with like a Patek 96. It's small, it's beautiful. It takes someone that's very confident in what they're going to be wearing to wear it, because of the size. But between the alpha the alpha hands here, the sub-seconds, I mean, this is a beautiful watch. I'm looking at it now. This could have very easily been made by like Omega, the same kind of style here. Then we have another Tudor with a white gold fluted bezel, 34 millimeter case, and 19 millimeter lugs. Another one. This is the kind of watch that I try to sell every week. One different variation of a Tudor that I think brings a lot of value. That's what I try to do every week, because I think that Tudor is a hot brand, and I think that Tudor. I think it should be a hot brand, and it is. It should be because it's bringing a hell of a lot of value to the people who don't want to spend Datejust money. They want to spend $1,000 less, and sometimes even less than that. And in many cases, like for example, we sold a Tudor today with a gray dial. And that's the kind of watch that if it were a Rolex, it would demand a $300 or $400 premium over market, over standard. But because it was a Tudor, it just didn't. It demanded maybe $150, $200 maybe. Whereas if it was a Rolex, it would be a $2,900 watch selling for $3,500 or $600 in that instance. So I think that that's very interesting. The collector market there for vintage Tudor, although strong, isn't crazy, and that's what I love. The King of Mexico, I don't know, you guys are speaking Spanish. How much is too much for the bull of a date cough I emailed you about yesterday? I don't know. I really don't know how much is too much. I don't sell those watches. You've hiked up the prices, ha ha ha. No, we haven't. We really haven't hiked up prices. We have sourced more expensive watches, but no, on watches that have cost, basically, like for example, comparing apples to apples, we haven't. We have been sourcing more expensive things, but you can't, you just can't compare those things. What else do we have here? Let's see. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm missing one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 5. Here you go. On my wrist. There you go. Rolex Datejust 1603 with this beautiful gray dial. Stick hands and a steel engine turned bezel. I put it on a gray strap, and it's beautiful. This is one of the coolest Datejusts I've had the opportunity to own. I've had so many Datejusts at this point, and I think that very simple ones are wonderful. There's no question. I think there's a lot to be said about just a white dial, or not a white dial, is a rare, a silver dial Datejust with an engine turned or fluted bezel. No question. But if you add a little bit of a rarity to it, and an inch, put it this way: when I see hundreds of watches every week, and when I see something very, very different, obviously, as it is nature, it catches my eye, and I say, "Holy shit!" I just looked through 800 watches; they were virtually all the same, and now there's this, and that's incredible. And that's why we only source 5 watches a week, 6 watches a week, because I genuinely want to keep those watches to a certain standard, and that matters to me a ton. I occasionally wear a 33 millimeter watch. I've been to a nude beach, so I don't have to. So I have the nerve to wear anything. That's funny. 33 millimeter watches. Totally, I would totally wear a 33 millimeter watch. No question. But I haven't been to a nude beach. What is your hangover cure? I take 2 ibuprofen and a bunch of water before I go to sleep. And then when I wake up, I splash a bunch of water on my face and I go back to bed. And that's what I do. Do you reckon you'd beat TGV in a fight? I think that TGV is too proper to even get into a fight. I think he'd probably just pull out a small caliber pistol and just shoot you before you pull. It's just I put up my fight and he would just when I'm done, I'd be gone. So, would you recommend a steel Datejust over an all gold Datejust for versatility or vice versa? No, I don't think so at all. I think that they're equally versatile. Maybe the steel is more versatile, but I wear the gold Datejust very, very often. My dad has one, and I love wearing it. I rarely find a time where it's inappropriate. Best bang per buck, $4,000 budget. Totally up to you. Totally depends on what you love. You love changing to leather straps. Do you prefer them over bracelets on the vintage models? Yes, I think that the leather straps and suede straps add a lot of style and modernity to vintage watches. I think that it is about appropriating things sometimes. Do you think that Tudor prices will rise, and what percentage 5 years from now? I answered that question today on an email, and the answer is Tudor prices could skyrocket next month. Ask yourself, what does it take for prices in a watch, market to skyrocket? It takes, bloggers. It takes people who are writing and talking about things to write and talk about them a lot, and then in turn sell them, and then that's how the market just explodes. Look at Universal Genève. Whoever would have thought that they would have exploded like they did? Nobody. It wasn't a 2 years or 5 years from now thing. It didn't take 5 years for it to happen. It took 4 months once it started happening. It's just a matter of when, and that's what matters. Any watch you've sold you wish you kept to yourself? Yes, so many watches I've sold I wish to keep to myself. I just don't have enough money. Like so many of you, and like so much of the world. Really, the fact that we're even talking about watches makes us unlike a lot of the world, because they don't have that time. To just sit and talk about fucking watches. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm limited by cash. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. So no, I can't just keep watches that I wish I could keep. I try to find them homes, and many times I will tell the new owners, if I'm comfortable with them, like, hey, if you're ever looking to sell it, like, please come back to me, because I would really love that watch again. So that's and who knows how much, if I have more money by the time, hopefully I'll have more money in 3 years. You know what I mean? That's kind of the idea. Any rude experiences from a watch salesman? Yeah, I'm going to tell you guys a really funny story. There is a watch store that I call once a month, maybe. And I call them, and my thing is when the phone rings and they pick up, they say, hello, and I say, hi, how are you? And she goes, and it's a woman that answers, and she goes, fine. And I'm like, what? And many times, if not every single time that's happened, mind you, I'm used to her, the recipient, the B in the conversation, to say, I'm well, thanks for asking, how are you? But instead, her conversation is like a brick wall. So every time I call her, I say, hi, how are you? And she says, fine. And I say, I'm well, thanks. Oh, wait, you didn't ask. Oh, shit. Can you just connect me to, extension 108? Because, what do you say to that? I'm trying to give you thousands of dollars. Right? Like, don't you know that anyone calling you has some, at least faint intention to give you $1, $2, $3, $4, $10, $20,000? Don't you know that, you stupid ass? And yet no, people just don't care, and that's funny. I can't tell you how many times I've had clients that are just awfully rude, just the worst, and every time I just bite my lip and just do it. That's it. You just be really nice. And if you guys look at my YouTube comments, sometimes I'll get really, really nasty fucking remarks from, sometimes the people are, fine and they're just in a bad mood and they'll admit it in retrospect. And sometimes they're just fucking assholes, and I have to just deal with that, and my answer every time is always very polite and constructed, and I really give them some time. But Spanish Rob says, what the hell did I just walk into? Is Spanish Rob the largest account that's on this thing right now? He's got, 30,000 followers? What's up, Spanish Rob? 35,000? 40,000? How many do you have? Have you ever had previous buyers try and sell their watches back to you? Yes, it's happened before in many different circumstances, kind of different ways. Sometimes it's, sometimes it's consignment. Sometimes it's straight sale. Sometimes someone has a fire sale. They have to sell a watch immediately, and it's just how it happens. And as someone who, when you buy a watch, or when you email me, you will find that I always kind of say, thank you so much for even emailing me, or something like that. I can't tell you how much your time means to me, right? And how much I value you. And I say that, right? But how do they actually know if that's true? Well, when they come back for a favor to sell their watch back to me, that's when they know if I was full of shit or if I was being real. Then they say, hey, I'm for example, one guy, lost his job and needed to sell a Rolex. And I was like, Oof, God, fuck. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Like I'll let me do it. I swallowed, because obviously I gave him, I probably gave him more money than I would have, uh, because it is what it is. Would I do that again? Not necessarily, because I think as I mature, I realize that, you know, everyone has business to run, and you can't screw yourself trying to help everybody. You just can't. But it's hard. It's very hard. And I'm maturing as a retail person and a salesperson. Not everyone's problem can be my problem. But it's tough. It's tough. So. Hey, is a two-tone date just a bit much for a white male under 25 years old? That's really funny. No, it's not. You can do whatever the fuck you want as a white male under 21 years old. And I didn't mean that like, oh, my white males under 25 can do whatever they want. Anyone can do whatever they want, and I was just reiterating, you're a white male under 25 years old. I don't care how old you are or what race you are. It's it doesn't matter at all. Um, but now, in that same note, if you were, a white male, 25, you wore pastel Oxford shirts, pastel shorts, and Sperry's, and you wanted to wear a two-tone Datejust, and you asked me, do I look like a dick? I would say yes, absolutely. But you should be fine with it. If that's your style, then just be a dick. Then just move on. But you have to face the music that you do look like a dick. You look like someone who I'd be afraid to fight, not because you'd beat me, because I would spank you, but because your dad would sue me, and that poses a problem to my future. That's the reality there. Let's see. Have you dealt in vintage Seiko? Haven't seen anything on the site. No, a little bit, very little. Very very little. So, I don't know vintage Seiko that well, and I don't deal in stuff I don't know. So that's why when you buy a watch from me, I can speak a lot about it, and I can like really confidently sell you a watch because I'm passionate about that watch. Whereas with vintage Seiko, although I may be passionate about them, I don't know that much, and I'm not going. If I'm talking about watches, you're never gonna hear me like just start making up shit. I could be wrong, but I'm not just gonna sit there and say like a used car salesman kind of bullshit. If you don't want to buy it, just don't buy it. Like that's fine. Like it's just fine. I don't want you to own something that you don't want. Because that's going to be a headache for me in 6 months, so that's that's that. I have a man crush on Christian. Christian has a man crush on you, Mont Blanc collector. Favorite NATO straps? I don't really wear NATOs, but if I do, I wear single pass. I don't wear the full thing. So I like that. Do you write the copy on the site? I don't know what the copy is. So that to me is answer enough that I don't. Do you mean code? I have no idea what the copy is, so probably no. The answer is no. I need to know about these Christmas lights, man. You don't need to know about the Christmas lights because they're just here. Everyone get over it. Let's see. 36 millimeter Datejust looks small because I'm used to larger size wrist. My daily wear is a sub C. I'll tell you this: when I first got my Cartier. It was small, and I said to myself, "Wow, this thing is tiny. This is kind of weird. What do I do? I like it." And I wore it, and I wore it, and I wore it, and it's amazing how quickly your wrist and your eye adjusts. They really, really do. So that's kind of my answer there. If you're used to a sub C and you started wearing a Datejust, I think that you would come around to it seriously, and then you learn a lot about yourself. Camille Fournier versus Jean Rousseau is a great question. Camille Fournier makes Patek straps. Jean Rousseau makes Masterons. I vote whoever makes Journes. That's funny. That's really good. I don't know who makes Journes straps, but I know a lot of people that have Journes that had custom straps made by Camille Fournier. By Jean Rousseau. So I don't know who makes the straps officially. But I know that I've seen a lot of Journes on Jean Rousseau straps. As far as quality is concerned, I don't know. We're talking about the top notch on both ends, without question. And we're talking about relatively affordable compared to like Hermes, and the quality is incredible in both those companies. My biggest thing is the service at Jean Rousseau. To me is infinitely times better than Camille Fournier, and to me, I'm super obsessed with service. And I can fall in love with someone who I fundamentally disagree with if they're just nice. If I don't love your product, but I love you, I'll find something to love about your product. And I'll be very honest, but Any reason for not keeping the prices on the archives page? Um, you know, yes, there are a couple small reasons, like the fact that I don't want people, like for example, prices of. I sold a vintage chronograph when I first started Theo and Harris, maybe 4 months in, for $700. That watch is worth like 1,800 now, maybe 1,300, 1,800, whatever. So basically, I sold it for half what it's worth, and I know that if I listed it at at 1,600, I would get people saying, "How could this be double? Like you've sold out, blah 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 blah." And I don't want to read those emails. I don't want to answer them, and that's it. It's a market. It's a living, breathing market. And what something sells for today is not reflective of what it's going to sell for in 6 months. It's just not. So that's kind of why. But it's also because if it's not broke, don't fix it, and it's very not broke. So I'm always more than happy if someone says to me, "Hey Christian, what should I be spending right now for this tutor?" I'll just tell you, but I don't want you using a reference from 7 months ago, and spoiling the party for everybody, So that's it. Any point in going for a Super Jubilee Datejust and paying huge premium for a more recent model, or should I just go vintage? I would go. I'd either go vintage or I'd just go pre-owned. That's what I would do. And I don't mean like just pre-owned like from 2 years ago. There are some models from a couple of years ago that are just incredible. There are some incredible watches from a couple of years ago, and then that's very important. That's very valuable. You can get a watch that's maybe $12,000. You can get it for 7 or 6, and that's obviously a huge value prop because it's not the most recent model. It's almost the same watch, but it's not the most recent model. So if a watch you own, if a watch you own and love, like for instance your Santos Dumont, doubles or triples in market value, would you keep or sell it? It's tough. It's really, really tough. If my Santos was worth 10 grand tomorrow, I think I'd have to sell it responsibly. I'd have to be responsible and sell it. I don't have enough money to own $10,000 in watches, or in one watch particularly. So I'd sell it. Yeah. Sorry. What is your recommendation for a watch to wear with a tuxedo? I think that an Omega Seamaster, is an incredibly refined watch that you can wear with a tuxedo without even blinking. No question. Aaron just said if it's got a story and history for you, keep the watch. And no question. Aaron is our webmaster, Aaron Schmidt 808. You should follow him on Instagram. On YouTube and on Instagram, people, Aaron Schmidt 808. It's our webmaster. He's an amazing guy and an amazing worker. It's a pleasure working with him. But he just made the point that if it has a story to you, keep the watch. Which, yes, I do agree with, and that makes it much more difficult to part with it. But I'm putting myself in the worst circumstance, and it depends how I look to the future. It does. If I think that the Santos Dumont market is a bubble, I might want to get out right now and rebuy one when the bubble bursts. If I had a Paul Newman Daytona, I probably would have sold it. If it was my father's watch, I wouldn't. If my dad's watch was worth 55 grand tomorrow, I wouldn't sell it. It's my dad's watch. I couldn't sell it. What would I buy with 55 grand? Buy a vintage Porsche? That has no sentimental value to me. So that's not cool. So, that's kind of where I fall there. It makes it very hard because you have to be realistic. Jard Perigo Seahawk. Yeah, they're great watches. Can you pick up a pre-owned Super Jubilee under 4 grand? I don't know. What do you think about Christopher Ward? Christopher Ward's got some great watches. What is up, Upper Crust Life? You my boy. Did your son recently have a birthday? Did I see that on Instagram? Right? What's his name? Sam? Is your boy's name Sam? I think I remember that. I could be wrong. If it was recently his birthday, and even if it wasn't, tell him I say happy birthday. Not that he knows who I am, but that would mean a lot to build the watch fam. Keep the kids in it. Are any tutor day dates coming soon? No, we don't have any day dates coming soon. Sorry, I could look out for one, but the market is tight for them right now. Very, very tough. Very, very tough. Bought a vintage manually wound Wittenauer, $55. Good deal or nah? Tough to say. A vintage Wittenauer, $55. you know, it depends on what it is. It depends if it needs service. You know, a service and that can be $300. So your actualized cost is $350. At that point, you could just, you know, buy it retail. Actually, you probably still would have saved money. As long as the dial condition is good, it depends on 8,000 different variables. 8,000 different variables. So I can't tell you. Celebrated on Saturday, 1 year old. That's awesome, buddy. That is phenomenal. Congratulations. You've been wearing your Royal Oak for a year. How cool is that? It's awesome. Thoughts on people calling a Jubilee girly? Fuck those people. Who cares? You know, who cares? You know, it doesn't, it doesn't. I may have a Tudor Date for sale soon. Hit me up. Look at these people shilling things on my Instagram Live. Do your own Instagram Live. Get off of mine shilling your watches. Ask them if it's service. No, I'm just busting chops. You can sell whatever the fuck you want. You can sell Coke on my Instagram Live. I don't care. I do care. I would make everyone yelling at you. Yeah, that would not be cool. I'd report you to Instagram. You know, that's just the reality. No, I'm busting your chops, buddy. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding with you. You can sell whatever. You can sell the watch. I don't care. It's totally cool. Hit me up if you need a UK branch for Theo and Harris. No, I will not do that. I will not do that. Well, in that case, it's 4:20 tomorrow. It's so fun. Fair point. Cool feed. No, I'm busting your chops. Cartier Basculante or JLC Reverso. Both amazing watches. I would probably... tough to say. Tough to say. Really, really hard. I won't tell you. I won't give an answer. Can we rewatch the start of the live? Yes, you absolutely can. It will go live on the site right after. Why is there so much... this is the last question I'm going to answer before I stop. Why is there so much controversy over Hublot? I choose it over the Hulk because it looks so unique, because it seemed like everyone had a Rolex. Great comment there. Seriously. It depends on the price. Hublot is obviously Jean-Claude Beaver company. A lot of people have a lot of hate for Jean-Claude Beaver, not because he's a bad guy, but because, you know, he's a great marketer and he gets celebrity endorsements. And it's not so much about watches as it is about kind of like just showboating. So that's kind of what's kind of given a lot of the heat to the watch fam. You know, Hublot's got some really weird connections. You know, they pay a ton of money for like the boxing advertisement, and it just appeals to a lot of people who aren't watch lovers. And that's where most of the hate stems from. You know, I think that a lot of their watches were overpriced for a while. They might still be. I just don't know. So that's really the reason. But you know, if you picked a Hublot over a Submariner and you paid a fair price, I don't know what a fair price is, but if you paid a fair price, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a watch you liked. You know, do I recommend you get robbed? No, I hope you don't get robbed. But as long as you got a fair deal, you know, let's go for it. You know, go for it. At the end of the day, you know, most of the people, I'm not going to give a random percentage, but most people have no idea the difference in movement between a fake Rolex movement and a real Rolex movement. No one has any idea between, you know, a clone, forget even clones, an ETA movement and a Rolex movement. Take away the stamps and nobody fucking knows. You know, do we know? Yes, we do. It's our job to know. But most people don't. You know, so for people to get snobby about shit they don't know is just, it's asinine. It's arrogant and it's asinine. So that's a problem that I have. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching Live Ask Teenage. I had a lot of fun with this. I love these episodes. I have my coffee in one hand, my booze in the other. These 6 vintage watches are going to be hitting the site on Tuesday. It's going to be an awesome day. I'm sure we'll have rapid fire sales. There is still one new edition left from yesterday, a beautiful vintage Movado, very reminiscent of the Patek Philippe Ellipse, one of my favorite vintage, you know, watches of all time, or even just watches of all time. And if you didn't see yesterday's In the Metal, I think it was probably the best one we ever made. So check it out. Go into the Theo and Harris playlist and click on In the Metal from yesterday. That's it, guys.
Subscribe.
And like and subscribe. Like this video. Like the video and subscribe to us on YouTube if you enjoyed this video. And if not, then don't subscribe. You know, don't come again. That's it. Thank you guys so much again. Adios. All right, now I have to figure out how to close this. Stop streaming. Boom.